Two kids from Queens, cut from a different cloth. Now joining forces, helping you to elevate your personal brand. Yeah, I'm talking about Nicky and Moose, bringing you a never-before-seen perspective into the mindset, the mentality, the behaviors, the driving force, but more importantly, the stories behind the people and brands that you know and love the most.
Was poppin'. Welcome, Nicky and Moose. I'm Nicky. That's Moose. What's up, Moose?
What up, y'all?
And welcome to the YouTube Livey. First and foremost, shout out to everybody who's watching this live, watching this replay. Please hit the like button, hit the share button. Share this with somebody who really needs this information. Second, episode 86 dropped today.
Hey.
And I've been getting really good feedback. That question that we asked in the beginning, if you didn't listen to it, sorry, I can't tell you too much about it. You just got to. People really got it and was like really thinking about it. Shout out. Oh, man. Do I still have the name? Hold on. Let me look at our text message real quick. Shout out to, what is it? Coach E. Kong, who literally made a sound on Instagram Reel of the podcast. That was a whole vibe.
That's dope.
So shout out to you. Moose, you look like you're tropical. I don't know where you are, but you look very tropical-ish. Where are you, sir?
Yeah, man. No, we came down to Florida to visit the in-laws. One of the little ones was graduating today, so we came to his graduation, and we had to do like a little wedding crashers last minute, get ready in the car type situation because we miscalculated the time. So this was the shirt that I landed on, and I'm like, yo, I'm bringing that energy to the podcast or the live show. So let's get it. Now I'm here. Looking like I am fresh out of Pablo Escobar's, latest documentary.
Listen, I see it. I was like, oh, you look like you're in Florida. You look like you're in Florida. You feel me?
Oh yeah. Thank God to great technology and us failing enough times with this live setup, the podcast setup, the whole nine, that I can adjust the settings on the camera, get my Ethernet cords right, make sure the internet is situated, that it's not glitching, right? I think we're pretty straight. Oh,
we're absolutely, we're absolutely great.
Look at that. God is good, man. God is good. Nah, I'm happy.
God is good.
Listen, I've been here a couple times and it was a little frisky. So to get this thing down packed, I'm happy it worked out. But how are you? I mean, you had a little popping situation today with some of these investments, and the last text you sent me, I just peeked at it just before we jumped on. I was like, oh. Okay.
What you mean?
I saw you send me a text that was, like a little big. How can I say it? I don't know if I should be saying this or not, but I like the.
I'm very transparent. You can.
You sent me a document. You know the document. I'll say that. The document.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. I need your initials, sir. I need your initials real quick.
I was like,
no. Look, listen. No, we're trademarking Nicky and Moose. That's a fact. Okay. What we not going to do is get hit on any kind of legal situations. No one's going to steal our stuff, even though it wouldn't make sense. Like, how could you steal Nicky and Moose? We clearly know what that is. But, we got a trademark, right? Just at the final stages of it. So I just need your initials. I'm cool with that. I can say that. Yeah.
I love it. This was like, I don't know if we should talk about that yet, but
listen.
That was a big step. I love it.
No. We could talk about whatever. No, I am Gucci. I am in student mode this week. I am watching pretty much a YouTube conference, right? It's a video conference. It's called Grow with Video Live. Shout out to Think Media. And I'm just taking notes. I'm in a group chat with other people who are live and virtual in that spot. Get you some friends that like to learn people. And it's just I'm just in I already came up with a new idea for our channel that only makes sense. That's not going to take more work from us unless we want to, you know. So yeah, no, I'm just student mode this week. I think tomorrow's the last day. And then I signed up for an extra program so I can continue to serve you guys on YouTube, and we continue to drop fire content for you guys. And so, you know, it's a process. This whole thing is a process. They said one guy got over 900,000 views on his channels with only 13 videos. I said, oh, I'm doing something wrong.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. I said I'm doing something wrong. Oh, absolutely doing. I have no problem. The great thing about me, I have no problem saying that I'm doing it wrong, right? So, especially with you. Instagram, y'all can't tell me nothing, right? Mm-hmm. Can't tell me. Even though I receive information from certain people, y'all can't tell me nothing on Instagram. I feel confident on that one. But YouTube, whole brand new situation because it's long form video. So we got 1 million plus views on our channel, but we also have like over 300 videos on our channel. You feel me? So.
And you said he got 900,000 with 13 videos?
With 13 videos.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Look. Shout out to Chesco. Chesco said new episode is fire. If you listen to the new episode, drop it in the comments or the chat, wherever you're doing it from. Shout out to Ecan for the sponsorship. Yo.
Come on.
Big moves. Big moves. I'm just saying. Shout out to Ecan. This is not a paid sponsorship on the live, only on the podcast. You feel me?
Right. Absolutely. Nah, but that ties right into our topic for today, man. I was, and I don't know that it's because I'm here in Florida, but definitely just more mindful of the calendar as I'm trying to just be. Better thing for me to say is I'm always trying to keep things on my calendar. So I feel like anytime I start to see things slowing down, I'm like, who do I need to reach out to? Who do I need to keep connecting with? Just on whether it be a casual catch up or something business related, let me start getting those follow-ups in place. So I'm looking at the calendar and I scheduled something 2 weeks out. I said, wow, that's going to be in June. So it's officially the first half of 2022 is going to be over in just a couple of days. Right. So dating back to last year, y'all know that I have been a lot more proactive in reviewing our year or reviewing the quarter, whatever it is, and then starting to make projections into the second half, into the second year, the third, whatever it is, just so that we can be proactive. Because if you start planning for your new year or your second half in the second half, I'm not saying don't do it, but you're kind of late, right? The best way to go into the second half strapped up, ready to go, everything in place is to prepare for that ahead of time. So I said, okay, well, if we start today, that gives us a full week just to have a discussion, answer some questions that are really specific to get you to think about how did my first half of the year go? And then what do I need to do in the second half, or what adjustments can I make so that I can put myself in position to continue to grow and progress to close off the year in quarters 3 and 4. Now, they say this a lot about kids in school. They talk about the summer slide, right? Meaning that you kind of fall, they tend to fall behind during the summer because they're not in school, they're not working. And I believe the same thing happens with adults, right? We have more things to distract us during the summer. And for many of us, we can fall behind if we don't have some things in place to help us stay consistent, stay progressive, continue to grow during those times. So it's that time. So I wanted to just have us go back and forth and really have a discussion about a review of the first half of the year. So I called it a mid-year wrap, right? And it's kind of a play on words, but really it stands for review, adjust, and plan, right? So reviewing the first half, what adjustments are we going to make? And what's the plan for the second half? I got a series of questions that I'll ask you here as well to almost make it a mindful manifestation type set up towards the end of it. But yeah, just thinking about the first half, brand side, the whole nine. What's your overall review of it? Maybe your proudest moments, and how would you rate it?
I mean, we got a deal.
Come on.
You know what I mean? We got a deal.
It's official.
So I feel good about that. I think that's a big deal. And it allows, just from a business and expense situation, a relief of, I don't have to necessarily worry. You don't necessarily have to worry of things getting paid or not, or is this really working? Is it worth it? I'm more for the love of content. Moose is more for the business of content, right? And what it could do. And though I would always be like, it's working. You're like, yeah. It wasn't until the sponsorship. Oh, it's working. You know what I mean? This could go far. That's all I wanted. Yeah. That's all I wanted. I'll do all the passion part of it, and now I get to pass it to Moose on some, hey, handle the business part of it, and I'll continue just to do this part, right?
Yeah.
So we're working on other things, and what does that mean? I go, all right, I set it up, boom, pass it to you, bounce pass to you, keep it moving, and that's, I think that is, for me, one of my proudest moments of this time, just because, like, I could officially say from a together project that the bounce pass was successful. You feel
official.
me?
Yeah.
Like, I could wave a flag all day and say, hey, is this working? But if we're not on the same page of that, it's like, oh, I only like this. Okay, all right, it's me.
Yeah.
It's great. It's like, no, everybody's doing content. And I actually had to sit down with that. Like, cause I had a conversation with myself of being like, yo, why can't certain people see what we're doing and how this is growing and things like that? And it's like, just do what you're supposed to do and position yourself to where now the business side gets activated. Once the business side activates, you not only have the passion, the views, the subscribers, all that great stuff, but you also have the money, the business structure, all taken care of. It don't matter why people don't see it. It's an official tissue situation.
That's right.
So, for me, that's the deal was.
I like that.
Was important.
I like that.
The deal was important. That was a battle with myself. That wasn't. I don't want people to be like, "Yo, you and Moose were No, Moose had nothing to do with the battle that I had with myself with this situation. That's. I just want to make people know that this was a battle with myself.
Yeah, no, certainly. No, I like that. I think that's definitely important. I enjoyed that part of the process too. It was like, let me go in here and clear it up. And I love that. It's like, it's funny how God works sometimes, because we escaped a little like funny style deal with the first pitch, if you will, someone saying, oh yeah, we're going to get you here. It's going to be fire. We got 1 million people. And oh, by the way, it's going to be this. And I feel like swerving that got us right in position for this opportunity that we have now with Ecamm, which I think is just the beginning of a lot of wonderful things that we'll continue to do for the show and the community like at large. So for those of you tuned in, man, please stay active in the comments. That first question that you should be asking yourself, take a moment, whether you want to do it now and you want to drop that in the comment box now, or you want to do it at your own time. Like, seriously, think about your first half of the year. It's been about 6 months, right? Depending on when you do this, you're almost near that halfway point. and just do a quick mid-year review. Like, man, how happy am I? What are my proudest moments of how I ran my brand and executed some of my business plans? What are your proudest things? Don't get to the things that you're unhappy with just yet. We'll get there at some point, but just focus on the good for a moment and start there and think about the things that you're happy with. I think for me, Nicky, the answer is a little bit more detailed, a little bit more expanded. It's a couple of things. The first thing is, I think that both you and I are mentally the healthiest we've ever been since we've ever met. I don't know. Like, I think both you and I, in our own ways, we found an anchor, a foundation, a routine that just has us both mentally and spiritually strong. And we're just able to almost feed off of each other. It's like, oh, I did this. It's like, oh, that's awesome. I like that. I'm going to match that. Or I did this. Okay, like, let me see how I can recreate that same experience in my own life or my own routine. So I really love the fact that we're both in a mentally healthy space. I think that's going to prepare us for a lot more growth and a lot more things that we want to build on. I also love the rhythm of conversation and how we dialogue on the podcast. So we talk a lot about how the show, the podcast, the live show, all of these things was literally a direct reflection of conversations that we used to have on the phone. And you'll notice that for those of you who are just starting something, when you try to bring something that you do with your friends to an actual show or a podcast, there's a slight hiccup, right? Because the cameras are on. After some time, after some practice, you start to see that, there's no difference between when we're talking on the phone and when we're recording. It literally almost feels like the same exact thing. So that's something that I'm also really happy about. So I think those two for sure are at the height of the wins or things that have me pretty amped up going into the second half of the year. Like, okay, this is about to be something really, really cool. So definitely those two. Okay. Let's go on to that next one, adjustments. Okay. Thinking of the first half and maybe speeding or fast forwarding into the second half of the year as well. What adjustments do you think need to be made as it relates to the whole situation? Give them the whole situation.
I think the adjustment and where the process of that is feeling 100% with the format of the podcast, right? So meaning if people have noticed that we've been adding more of like questions and quotes in the beginning of the podcast, which gives more of our perspective on things instead of just going straight to what's trending or somebody or not, and kind of gauging what works and what doesn't, right? So understanding that maybe we've been focusing too much on the people, the personal brand, the influencers, and realizing from a stats standpoint, because I look at the stats from a YouTube standpoint as well as the audio, where the click-through rate or the retention, mainly the retention, gets lost after a few minutes to a wider audience. Now, to our main audience, and if I geek out a little bit, bear with me, I'm going to bring it back, right? To our main audience, they play it all the way through. But to newer audience, because it seemed as if we were only going to show whoever we were talking about, let's say a Kobe, let's just say a CP3 or somebody, right? We were only going to show them, and then they see us, they may click out. So doing different adjustments, like changing the thumbnails to showing us and then the person who we're talking about. Talking more about our perspectives on certain things that got brought up, certain questions that we may have in life. So that's some of the adjustments for me from a content side that I'm constantly thinking about. Once again, another adjustment, because I understand YouTube is a big traffic for us, when it comes to the podcast, I'm now investing in different courses and calls to better serve, our YouTube family, and which will then increase for our podcast listeners. So, these are just some of the adjustments that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, no, that's that, and I gotta be right there with you on that second piece at least. I know when you mentioned the conference, it kind of like your mention of it made me realize that I haven't been to a conference outside of the work that we do directly alongside E.
Yeah.
In probably 4 or 5 years. And I was like, dang, I really need to step my game up and get back out there. Like a lot of my learning has been super personal, like books that I read, things that I watch on YouTube, but nothing intentional as far as saying, let me go to a conference on a topic of something that is of interest or something that I can really benefit from. So I definitely think an adjustment for me has to be that. Right. Another personal adjustment that I've made that I feel is super beneficial. I'm really looking at all that I'm doing as a true profession. And I don't know if you guys have dealt with this at some point in your journey or some point in your career, but when you're starting something new, I feel like so that you don't feel the pressure of whether it be, I don't want to call it failure, or maybe the pressure of wanting something to gain traction. You often may label it as a hobby in your own mind, right? You might be like, oh, yeah, the podcast is just something that I do as an extra thing on the side. It's a hobby. It's not really a serious thing or a big deal. But you're going to get hobby-like results because it's not something that you're looking at as part of your career or your resume or something that's a part of what you do professionally. Mm-hmm. So you can't expect expert-like results if you're treating something that you're doing as just a side piece or a hobby. And again, I'm not saying anything towards someone who's working a full-time job or a 9 to 5 and they're building themselves up on the side. I'm talking specifically to the people who may have, whether it be a level of lack of belief or just a nonchalant attitude because they got too much on their plate. So they look at some of the things that they do as simply as a hobby.
Right.
So the big adjustment that I've made that I'm seeing a lot of rewards from, and I'm going to continue to do it, is I'm looking at everything that I'm involved in as an absolute, almost, I don't want to call it necessity, but I'm approaching it with professionalism. I'm approaching it as if, how would you act if you worked for Nicky and Moose? Mm-hmm. How would you act if you worked for your brand name company? Like whatever your brand name is, if you work for Nicky S, how would you act if you were an employee of Nicky S? And I'm now telling myself, you're an employee of the brand. This is not your brand. This is not your podcast. You're an employee of the podcast. You're an employee of the brand. You're an employee of Extreme Execution. It just makes you bring a level of hunger and professionalism that there is no such thing as that nonchalant attitude or it's not that serious. No, everything is serious. No, everything needs to be top quality. All the details need to be in check. You got to look for ways to continue to improve no matter how far you've come along. So I think that's probably my big thing, man. Honestly, just reviewing COVID and reviewing just my own habits and approach. And that's why I say there are certain things that we know the honest truth about, mm-hmm. right? Maybe somebody hasn't called us out on, but you know the truth. So just because Nicky might have not called me out on something doesn't mean that there's something that I'm doing that is short of my full potential or short of what I should be producing. And it's okay. I'm not going to fix it because someone that I care about or whomever hasn't called me out on it. No, if you know something is lacking or you are operating below your potential, it's your responsibility to fix it. And the one part that I've taken ownership is some of these things or some of my work, I just never looked at it as a true, like almost a real calling or a career, simply because I looked at it as it's free things that we're doing. It's things that we're doing to give back. I just want to share. So I'm off that rhythm right now. I'm really looking at this as like legit, as I'm calling it, like I work for the podcast, be on time, right? Like prepare the whole nine. So that's a big adjustment that I'm just labeling it under the umbrella of professionalism. Be a professional in everything you do. But that's something that I believe a lot of us need to do, just because, again, from personal experience, that I feel tends to be a habit of some people where they just kind of fall back and say, I'm not taking it that serious, or this is just a hobby. So yeah, one of those things that y'all should be mindful about.
That's good. I like that.
All right. Well, final P, or the final one, the plan. So looking into the second half now, heck, even as far as 2023, starting from the personal end, what would you like to see different as it relates to where things are headed from a brand standpoint, from a personal standpoint? Give us a summary of that.
So you said plan from a personal.
Yeah.
I suck at planning. Okay.
Yeah.
Start there. I suck at planning. And I'm open to working on that. I think before I wasn't. And now I'm more open to it. The thing for me on a personal level has been what we talked about on the podcast, which is making sure mentally I'm good. Not saying that there's anything wrong with me on my mental side. I'm just been really big and focused. And I think it was because of the scare of COVID, when I had that brain fog, that I really started to concentrate on getting smarter and learning something every day and having clarity. I mean, on a huge quest of clarity and figuring out what is that thing, that it for me. Because I said it in past episodes, COVID made me stupid, all right? Made me all the way stupid. And shout out to Moose's wife, because she gave me something that helped, as well as some other stuff that I'm not going to give them pub because they don't pay us. But if you follow me, you kind of know what I use. But from that to forever learning something new, like I said, this week is my learning week. Clarity and just muscle strengthening and conditioning. Not muscle. Did I say muscle? Mental. I don't know. I don't know what I said, but it's mental. Mental
it sounded
strength.
Right. That's why I didn't even.
Right. But I doubted myself.
Like,
I doubted
wow.
myself.
Oh.
I wasn't really sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I doubted myself. So I'm just gonna emphasize mental strengthening and conditioning is for me. But to go back on the planning, I think the only thing I really have planned coming up is being intentional with what we talk about and what we use, and connecting the dots between our podcast and those particular brands. Like everything from, we already did eCam, to what we wear, to what we use on a regular basis, to what we help other people use, and start really planning how to have communications and create relationships with that. Also, because I'm being very intentional with relationships now and being a little bit more out there, shaking hands, kissing babies situations, planning on who can possibly add more value to the podcast. Who's somebody that maybe we weren't even open to before, to now being like, you know what? Let's see how this could be mutual. Planning those things. I think that's on my part from a personal side and a little bit on the business side as well. But also, and I'll say this transparently, planning on when it comes to Deeper Than the Brand, not making that the focus, but making that the umbrella to bigger things, right? So what does that entail? It can mean multiple things. If you think of anything that I do, I want to make that, or that I'm associated with, I want to make that into an entity, right? So everything from the content piece to the podcast to consulting to like all of these particular things will have its own situation, and planning on that and what does that honestly mean, just as business wise, and is that the move? When do we open this? When do we start this? Not to overwhelm situations and not feel like we have to do everything at once. I have patience, so I've learned to have patience. And that everything comes within time, figuring out what is the most important one. And I think I have an idea based off me and Moose's conversations of what's happening clearly right now. And planning those things out, making that a priority, figuring out the business structure of that. And that's it. You know what I mean?
Love it.
That's it.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Yeah, and for those listening, man, I usually don't ask for stuff, but the one thing I'm gonna consistently start asking for is for y'all to share this with like 3 people. Seriously.
Okay.
Y'all need to start sharing these lives, man, because these conversations are very rich. And if you're someone who is in this world, you're a creative entrepreneur, you're looking to build your brand, you're looking to build your business the whole nine, or you're looking to use your brand as a way to scale your business, because really that's what we're doing here, then you need to be tapped into these, because this is always rich conversation, and they're intended to be reminders, helpful tips, things that we're doing that you can use. So do me a favor, man, share this with 3 people. I don't care if they watch the replay. I don't care if they tap in live. Make sure you're sharing this with a couple people that could benefit from it. On the planning side, for myself, I got to say more storytelling content. More storytelling content.
I've been seeing the that post, the tweet or the quote that you got with the song in the background. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Shout out to my creative director for that. My wife has officially been hired as my creative director, so shout out to her.
Let's go. Put it on the books. It's a write-off.
Yeah. That's it. I'm going to be utilizing those talents to help with some of the creative stuff that I absolutely struggle with and can't do. So shout out to her for helping me with that. I just gave her the quote and she did everything else. And so that's been super helpful. But no, it's funny. I can even use that as part of my lesson. Almost a month ago, somebody made a fake account of mine. And it kind of hit me different because I asked you about it. I said, yo, so what do you do when people make these fake accounts of you? You're like, oh, nothing. It's like, it's lame. Like they just do that and you can't do anything about it. Right. And then for me, I was getting quite like more messages than I normally ever would about something like that. And I was like, yo, that's crazy. Somebody else is about to benefit more off of my name than I am if I don't use it. Yo, that joint woke me up in a whole nother way, Nix. I was like, yo, somebody else is about to benefit more off of your name and your reputation if you don't start using your name. So I was like, nah, I was planning to, and I've been talking about it for a minute. I made a couple meetings at the whole 9, but I was like, nah, we're going to have to speed this up now. Go, like now, you got to go. So that's one of the things that I'm not going to lie, put a fire under my butt. You let somebody make a fake account of yours and they coming up in every which way now. So it don't matter how many followers you got, because I don't got that many followers really. But once I seen that, I was like, no, you got to get back in the game and do it in a way that makes sense according to your rules and who you really are. So I've been really reminding myself that it's important to create around who you really are, because whatever you create is what you have to live with. So if you create as something that you're not, guess what? You're going to have to live with that person. You're going to have to live with that persona or that personality, and you have to try and uphold that standard. But if you create according to who you really are, there's no pressure, there's no stress because you're that person in real life. There's nothing to hide. You can be that person all the time. So those are just some of my takeaways. And like I said, I got to keep going back to the personal wins and the mental work because that's a lot of the stuff that has been really helping me just be consistent in that space. Again, the stuff that you need to do, but those personal hurdles, I always said, I don't think anyone ever wants to not succeed or someone wants to fail, but there are personal hurdles or battles that we're fighting personally or privately that don't allow us to do the things that we know we should be doing. So yeah, I'm grateful for that. So definitely more of the storytelling content that I'll continue to think through and share as best as I can that can be helpful in some of the rules that I've established within that framework. And the technology side. I am really fascinated with technology right now. I think we talked about it either on the last show or the last podcast, one or two, but we talked about the importance of using technology and vertically integrating with that. So really using something that doesn't have to require manual work or doesn't require so much of your attention, but you can use the technology to allow you to cut out the middleman and service more people on a wider scale. So I'm looking at a lot of different things right now. I'm actually meeting with someone in the next week or so who launched a really great initiative in the hospitality realm, but it's all tech-based. And it's pretty cool because it's really right up our alley. They provide a branding solution utilizing technology for people in that industry. So I was like, that's interesting that one of the key offers is their marketing and their branding. So I was like, okay, that is cool, you know. So I'm really interested to see how that continues to unfold. So I'm focused in those two areas big time.
I like it, and shout out to those who are hitting the super chat. Real quick, fast, in a hurry. If this live has added any kind of value or any of our past content per se, if you're watching it live, hit the super chat. There's like this little $ icon that you can hit. Or if you are watching this replay, hit the super thanks. It's the same kind of vibe. It keeps our channel alive, and we appreciate you. You know what I mean?
So I got a couple questions here that I came across, and it's like a flash forward into 2023, right? So like almost like preparation for, I'm gonna push you a little bit here. So It's like preparation for the second half, but then at the end of that, it's like, what are those manifestations, right? Like kind of, I said, those mental manifestations, if you will. Okay. So thinking ahead 6 months, Nix, what is your level of influence, reputation, and recognition in your niche? What is your level of influence?
It's going to increase.
But talk about it in detail, though. Give me the deets. Man. Spill the beans.
Okay, so, man, in details, that's your category. But okay, we could try. I have no problem trying.
What was that thing that you saw when you closed your eyes in that exercise? Remind me of that real quick.
I clearly said it wrong because I said this to somebody. All right, so I could break that down, right? Yeah. I don't know if I can break down 6 months from now. Shout out to Mr. Act Now or Never. We see you with that super chat. So I'll say this. So I met with my therapist, right? And I've been stuck on what the next thing is. I don't know what it is, right? But I've been stuck on it, right? And so visually, I could see it. Visually, if I think about it, it's clearly on a beach. There's a blue crab. Follow me. It's going to be super random first. Okay, so bear with me, right? It's like a blue crab. There's the rocks on the side that if you hit a certain kind of way, you could die, right? Beautiful blue skies, few clouds, because I love clouds, right? But in the water by the beach, like on the land situation, there's this big spear, however the circle thing. All right. I always say it wrong, but that, right. And it's not transparent. It's solid kind of gray with a lot of like, with a lot of electricity, a lot of sparks coming out of it. Right. So when my therapist said, yo, go touch it, I said, yo, I can't, because it'll hurt me, because it sparks. It's good electricity, right? All right, walk up to it. What else do you see? I see like a groove that you can open it. All right, go open it. I can't. Sparky things. You feel me? Sparky things. So that's how detailed I can see it. But clearly there is something in my brain. Hence why I've been big on this whole mental clarity and conditioning, is because clearly there's something in my mind that's not giving me permission to see what it is. So I am on a path of just getting that mental clarity and bringing down the walls of that barrier so I could clearly see what it is. Now, can it be revealed next week? Absolutely. Next month? I don't know. 6 months from now. That's why I don't like planning, because things could change in 2.3 seconds. Okay? Mm-hmm. So from a 6 months from now, as far as influence and impact and reputation, the way my numbers have been going, the way the podcast has been moving, the relationships I'm intentionally trying to nurture and create, it can only go up. And I could say right now, from a stat standpoint, we're at 9.7 thousand subscribers, 1 million views, over 1 million views on YouTube. So I could see within maybe 15 months another 5 to 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. From an Instagram standpoint, from my personal stuff, I'm at 72K. We're probably going to look at, from that standpoint, 80K to 100K. So it just means, it just means more global impact, and that's really kind of my focus. Of not only it's really dope that when we did go to the conference this past weekend, the theme of it, people coming up to me like, yo, I love the podcast. I love the content that you're putting out. Please continue to do it. You've literally helped me create confidence in myself. You guys have literally breaking it down to where I feel like I could do the brand myself. Some people said, yo, I've grown 10K followers because of you. You know, I've made this amount of money. And so, you know, for that, it's just, that's what I do it for. I showed you, and I posted it on Instagram. This little girl literally doing the intro to the podcast, right? Saying the what's poppin'. Like, she said it exactly to the T, and that's what I do it for. So if I can continue to impact and influence all generations in personal branding, right? I'm Gucci. Like, that's everything to me. Now, the money will come. I have no problem with that. I leave that to you, kind of thing. I tag you on that. What am I doing? Okay, Gary, look. I've said it here multiple times. I am the one that will be excited to do anything. And he is like, hold on there. This don't make sense. Boom, 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 boom. Yes. Cool. Even with my own personal stuff. Look at this. What am I doing? Okay, great. Thanks. Tag. You're it. Cool. Right? I suck at that part. Not necessarily suck. I just love doing things. I just like, oh, let's do it together. I'm such a, Yay, team player. It's gotten me in trouble so many times, hence why I've literally said, I'm not doing this no more. Hey, I have this meeting. Are you free? Cool. Come on this real quick. Break this down for me. Just like how he mentioned earlier of this deal that I was all for, and I didn't even get on the call because I had a weird feeling, but I was still for it. I was like, here, Moose, talk to him. He's like, yeah, that ain't it. I said, oh, then we not talking no more. I'm not going. And I know people will know, oh, let me go back to Nicky because the energy was there. And I just couldn't. I couldn't have the conversation because Moose said it wasn't a vibe. But that also helped me even know more that we were closer. Like, oh, if you want us to be here, oh, we're closer to where exactly we need to be. We're not necessarily going to be the best kept secret anymore. We're not necessarily going to be the most underrated podcast anymore. I checked the charts. We're 216 in the United States on the entrepreneurship list.
Wow.
Steady. You know what I mean? Sometimes we spike, we get up, we break the top 100. Cool, we break the top 100 for the business charts, but we've been steady at this one. And I'm like, I appreciate steady than spikes.
True.
So
I'm all for that consistent growth. Yeah. No, I like that. Yeah, I'm excited for you to get to that 100K mark because that's a staple. You know, that's like, not that numbers are everything, but it is a scoreboard nonetheless. And I think that's going to be a big accomplishment. So I'm definitely excited for you. Heck, you get to that. Yep. Okay. All right. Let me.
wait, what? No, finish. Hold on. I want to know. Wait.
No, I'm saying you cross that mark before we close the year. That's going to be phenomenal because you crossed a few milestones already this year. You know, as it relates to some of those benchmarks and the numbers. And at the end of the day, the numbers is always a reflection of like further reach, which is what we all want, right? That lets you know it's working and people are receptive to the message, which is incredible. But as far as for me, man, y'all know my reputation is everything. At the end of the day, I am someone who often keeps my mouth shut, even when I hear like sly remarks. And I see a lot of them. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm not gonna say nothing, right? Because my reputation to me is everything, and I do care a lot about that. But I actually received a message from someone who was a part of our community some time back and reached out multiple times through DM, sent an email, and I was not trying to engage too much on Instagram, at least through message. But when I started posting, I made sure that I start responding, even going back and responding to some people who might have missed. But we kind of went back a little bit, and then he said something to me and I'm reading it here. It says, "I can't say it enough. You are my favorite leader to listen to, and I truly respect and value your values and thoughts." So for me, while I am appreciative of the compliment, I think the bigger thing that stood out to me was like, man, you know, he always tells us your sheep will know your voice. Like your sheep will know your voice. And recently I flipped it into, how will your sheep know your voice if you never speak? How will your people who need your message, how will they ever know your voice or get to know your voice if you're not ever talking? And I was like, oh man, like this is a reminder that as it relates to like, where does the reputation, the influence, all this stuff come into place? Talk more, engage more, share more, reach out to people more. And more importantly, continue to be me, like continue to be kind, continue to be respectful, continue to practice humility, not take some of the messages that have been put out there as a way to get certain people to make certain adjustments and try and fit myself into that box to say, I need it too. And then because over time, I kind of start to see or feel that those adjustments almost flip my behavior in a way that's not real to me. So I'm like, no, I'm not going to cheat on me anymore. Like I really like this space that I'm in now. I'm real to me. I'm honest to myself, and it feels right. And at the end of the day, those who are receptive to the message, they'll receive it, they'll look for it, they'll respond to it. And those who it's not for, they'll skip over it. Like it's not that big of a deal. And again, it's easy to say these things sometimes, but without the personal work, the application isn't as easy, or you're not convinced. So for me, I'm just at that space now where I'm like, I'm going to pay attention more to these types of messages, whether it comes from 1, 10, or nobody, because I know that I'm operating in a way that's most real to me now. So as it relates to reputation, influence, and all that stuff, it's really pushing that space more. Relationships, though, more specifically, I'm really gonna double down on the diversity aspect. So I've always talked about this since, guys, for as long as I can remember, man, probably 15 years now, when people ever talked about what's your purpose or what do you want to do. When I was younger, of course, I would say be a professional baseball player. And once I hung that up and didn't make that a reality, I always started responding with uniting people of diverse backgrounds. That was like my big thing. Thanks, Isaiah. I get the message, brother. God's supposed to be. That's the second one I see it. We posted now though. It's cool. So the that piece for me has been super critical. Like, you got to double down on the diversity aspect of things and make sure that you're living true to that element. So relationships, definitely, I want to be more intentional about really representing that same thing. Like I got to represent it. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it for me on that question. Looking at the time, we got a couple more, so maybe we'll squeeze in just 1 or 2 more questions here.
Okay.
What kind of marketing are you doing that you actually enjoy? Or for you, what kind of marketing are you no longer doing that you don't enjoy? And I'm hoping you respond to one of the things that we kind of spoke about with the community piece here. How are you doing that differently? We talked about webinars. It's like, yo, is that done? What's up?
Oh, okay. Man, I don't like doing the typical, let's stack everything up and say it was a price, no longer that price, it's a different price, and only if you get it down. Like, I don't want to do that no more. I think for me, the way that I'm going to go about it is focusing on the transformation. I mean, like, people don't find, though it may sound great, people don't necessarily find the value in the actual products. They care about the transformation. Like, what can it do for them? Like, if we're saying, yo, this podcast can give you the steps that you're going to need in order to become a successful personal brand, one that creates beyond impact to the world, not just locally, but like to the world. Why? Because we're showing you the blueprints of people who do impact the world and have done it repeatedly. So there's repeated themes that if we apply can create success, right? Anything from some of the programs that I do have showing those numbers, showing those stats of the transformation, and just speak on that and allow people to move how they want to move after that. Like, I'm not here to kind of manipulate. If it felt nasty, right? It just, and I didn't manipulate, but it just, the scripted sell out kind of situation, I'm not for. And those who do know, because this live show has stopped twice because of it. I ran a 3-day summit, and now people are doing more and more of those, and I'm the rebel of when people start to catch on, I don't do it no more. I don't want to do it no more, right? I want to do something different. And so for me, it's just whatever people are doing now is cool. I just don't want to do it no more. And I want to continue to be a voice and a trendsetter for every piece of content, every single thing that I do, just because it helps pave the way for other people to be themselves and know that within time it will work. So it may not work right away because it's a educational gap. You got to teach people. You got to show them over and over again for them to understand it and fully get it, grade it. But just continuing the path of innovation and continue the path of just being truly authentic and transparent about things. And I feel like everything will play a part. Like everything will make sense. But focusing more on people's transformation than what I have stacked up, what really dope mastermind is there, and what's the transformation? And sometimes that's hard to think about, especially when you're starting, because what transformations are you telling people if you're just starting this particular thing or starting this program or starting this path? Like, what is that? But I think in due time, everything will make sense. And so that's the long answer of what I will not do again.
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to do whatever Nicky's doing. That's what I'm going to do. When it comes to marketing, I'm going to just keep it simple.
Because we're on the same
whatever
page with
Nicky
that.
do.
We both feel nasty about certain things. We both feel, okay, you know what? We could try this and test it. Not fully like, oh my God, this is going to work. I think, especially with exposure of certain things, we both have that like, okay, this isn't working no more. So we might as well try this. And if it doesn't, it's gone.
Right.
And not feel sorry or upset about it at all. Just it's gone. We're on to the next.
Yeah, that's real. Last question before we close. Person, or role who is on your team? So whether it be a person that you name by name or a role, just like a general role, who is on your team?
Who is going to be on my team or who's on my team? Oh, who's going to be on my team?
We'll speak to it as if it's here already, but yeah, we're talking about like 2023. Who's there?
Oh, it gotta be an assistant of some way, shape, or form. That's a fact. It's a wrap. I'm doing things too much. Even so, perfect example. I have a really great idea as far as a new content bucket for what we do. That will require some research, aka going over some of the old episodes, putting them in certain categories, and then finding them and trimming them down and things like that. I have to be okay with not doing that research. I already hit up somebody. Hello. You said you were strong on research, right? Well, here is your chance. I have this idea, and I'm not going to do it on my own, and I am okay with that. You know what I mean? So taking the task away from me, and there's multiple things with that. So, and so that may be and shout out to Isaiah, getting more editors to help with those situations. That may mean, getting a researcher for the podcast, instead of how we spend 2-3 days researching certain things just for the episode, for me, taking certain tasks away from another side of things that I do, So I just don't have to worry about it anymore. And just gradually step back and identify. Oh man, you would have been proud of me. Okay, here's a super transparent moment.
Talk about it.
Okay, you would have been real proud. So I was summoned to a certain location, right? Summoned. Oh, Nicky, you need to be there. Okay, all right. For what? Right? Well, you and the whole team. Okay, all right. Are you sure? Right? Now, this is where you would be proud of me, because the request was, well, I need 2 videographers and a photographer. But it was individual, like, Nicky, we need you there. Okay, let's break this down. So, Isaiah and Jose are the videographers, right? They do long form, record what you're saying, all that great stuff. Nick is the photographer, right? I am the more short form, happening in real life situation videographer, let's say, right? Videographer, editor. I'm more of nothing more than you have maybe a minute and 30 of my time of that particular recording. That is it, right? Please relay to this person. These are the titles. These are what they do specifically, and see if everybody is still needed, right? Dead air for a little bit. And then I poked again. Hello. Make sure this is set. Oh, no. Just need the 2 videographers and photographer. So, boom. I was like, now, old me would have figured it out, and I had to be there. Mm-hmm. This me is like, no, let's get specific with what I do. Because I think you think this means everything you may need. And I'm not trying to be the unicorn anymore. I can't do it. It's exhausting. I'm in a very great journey, and I don't want to lose track of that by being a generalist anymore. Oh, some baby is sad.
You're upset.
Upset.
Yeah. But interesting. No, that's good. That's good. I like that. Yeah, I think for me, I'll sum it up just because I'm looking at the time. 2 main roles, I will say, we can get to the place where we can have an in-house developer. That is fantabulous, because that means we are really accelerating towards this goal of going more digital, more tech. Not just digital, but really more tech. That'll be awesome. And then a community manager, like an official community manager. I think those 2 would be good as well. I got actually a lot, but I'll just stop at those 2. I think top 2.
I was like, we have a community manager. I'm not sure. I have the best community manager, and
no, Curtis top notch.
Yeah. I
definitely want somebody on another side, but no, for sure.
No, I was about to say he travels like he goes.
Yeah, Curtis. I was actually looking to see him at one this past weekend. I was like, man, I was going to ask about where was Brother Kurt, but Kurt is a real deal, man. Shout out to him.
No, he is. I will never need another community manager. Any community we create, he is on top of it. On top.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Good stuff, y'all. Good stuff.
All right, people. So, do us a favor. Listen to the podcast. Episode 86. It's really good. Take a screenshot of it and share it on your social media channels saying, yo, I listened to it. Okay? Whether it's on Twitter, whether it's in your Instagram and Facebook stories, posts, LinkedIn, however you want to go about it. Let's get more people to listen to the podcast. Share this live. Let's get more people to listen to these lives because it's just lessons. It's just lessons that's going to impact those people who are trying to grow a brand and trying to grow a business and literally need the steps. We're not only being transparent about our journey with it, but we're also breaking down other people's journeys that you may know. I mean, you may know a Kyrie Irving. You may know a CP3. You may know an Alicia Keys. You may know a Wallow, a Wall Street Trapper. You may know these people. You know what I mean? So go do that. You know what I mean? Moose, you got anything? Nope.
That's it. It's a wrap.